Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and the Darksaber has returned as the toy wanted by everyone and no one in the Star Wars universe, now weighing heavily in the hands of the Mandalorian Din Djarin in the Book of Boba Fett, or whatever they want to call these shows that are all really just Grogu and friends. And now, according to some, its rules of succession have a deeper, more mystic weight than we realize. Further complicated, who may ultimately wield this weapon? So who is gonna end up with the Darksaber? Will Mandalore ever recover from the wasteland it now is? Well, to truly understand the Darksaber's rules and power, we really have to revisit its history from the beginning. It was first introduced back in January 2010 in Season 2, Episode 12 of Clone Wars in the hands of Mandalorian Death Watch leader Pre Vizsla, also voiced by Jon Favreau.
This lightsaber was stolen from your Jedi temple by my ancestors during the fall of the Old Republic. Since then, many Jedi have died upon its blade. Prepare yourself to join them.
Now, at that time, Dave Filoni explained this weapon was designed at the request of George Lucas himself to replace Pre Vizsla fighting Obi-Wan with just a vibro blade. Now, instead with this sick, ancient, black-bladed lightsaber with a crackle of energy, giving a sing-songy hum like a tuning fork, and flat like an actual sword, unlike the all-rounded lightsabers that most other Jedi use. Now, years after this, Star Wars is like, holy shit, we should be selling this as a toy. So it showed up again, of course, in Clone Wars Season 5, when in Episode 15, the Death Watch joined Maul in a plot to take the throne of Mandalore, a plot that backfired when Maul betrayed Pre Vizsla.
I challenge you, one warrior to another, and only the strongest shall rule Mandalore.
They dueled, it was awesome, but Maul won.
Like you said, only the strongest shall rule.
Now, bo-katan Kryze, also at that time a member of the Death Watch, at this moment refused to join Maul and defected. Maul then used the Darksaber to murder the dethroned leader of Mandalore, Duchess Satine, bo-katan's sister, right in front of Satine's boo Obi-Wan. Then Darth Sidious arrived, considered Maul to be too much a rival, killed his brother Savage Opress, and then dueled Maul, two red lightsabers versus Maul's red blade and the Darksaber, and Sidious prevailed and tortured Maul, the last we saw of the Darksaber on Clone Wars. But the Son of Dathomir comic series catches up Maul's history with the Darksaber from that point. The Darksaber was recovered by Maul's super commandos, and Maul used this Darksaber against General Grievous. Then Maul returned to Dathomir to help his mother, the Night Sister Talzin, but fled that battle as Talzin sacrificed herself, killed by Grievous. Now, chronologically, the next time we see the Darksaber is in Rebels in Season 3, when Maul lured Ezra Bridger into his cave temple in Dathomir, where Maul had been collecting artifacts from his past.
Is that a lightsaber?
Indeed. Yes, but not like any that you would know. If your Mandalorian friend was here, she could explain it to you.
Sabine Wren and Kanan Jarrus rescue Ezra from those Night Sister spirits, and the Darksaber blade ends up in Sabine's hands. But at this point, Sabine feels a bit awkward with this weapon because her family, House Wren, considers her a traitor to the Mandalorian people, who at this point had aligned with the Empire. And in this season, we finally hear the full backstory of the Darksaber told from the Mandalorian warrior from the Protectors, Fenn Rau.
Legend tells that it was created over 1,000 years ago by Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian ever inducted into the Jedi Order. After his passing, the Jedi kept the saber in their temple. That was until members of House Vizsla snuck in and liberated it. They used the saber to unify the people and strike down those who would oppose them. At one time, they ruled all of Mandalore wielding this blade. This saber is an important symbol to that house and respected by the other clans.
But realizing that this Darksaber can be useful to rally a whole army of Mandalorians to the rebel cause, Kanan Jarrus offers to train Sabine with this weapon.
It's heavier than I thought.
Energy constantly flows through the crystal. You're not fighting with a simple blade as much as you are directing a current of power. Your thoughts, your actions, they become energy. They flow through the crystal as well and become a part of the blade. The blades will be drawn to each other. That sword is old, heavy, but powerful. Respect its strength.
Sabine reluctantly learns the basic forms of lightsaber combat, and she starts to get the hang of it.
The blade feels lighter.
You're connecting with it. It's becoming a part of you.
Suggesting that the blade's physical weight changes depending on its connection to the wielder, something that we saw in this recent episode of The Mandalorian, where Din Djarin struggled to lift its weight, meaning he did not have as strong of a connection to this weapon, despite winning it properly. Now, losing your hair is stressful for the guys I know going through it. It's one of the parts of aging that can make you feel older when you realize Sam Raimi's Spider-Man came out 20 years ago. Well, 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35, but with Keeps, you can get quality expert care without ever visiting a doctor's office or a pharmacy. Keeps offers generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products out there, but at half the cost of your local pharmacy. Though you never have to go into a doctor's office, Keeps has a network of expert medical advisors, prescribers, and care specialists to support you in making your hair goals a reality. Easily subscribe to Keeps and get refill reminders so you'll never run low on the products to take care of your hair. Hair loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/newrockstars or click the link in the description. That's keeps.com/newrockstars. Sabine shortly after this reunites with their mother Ursa Wren and brother Tristan, who at first resent Sabine for turning the Wrens into outcasts to the rest of the Mandalorians. Ursa asks about the Darksaber.
Where did you get it?
From Maul.
You won it from him in combat?
Not exactly.
Then you have no claim to it.
Well, I'm holding it. That's a pretty good claim.
Anyone can hold the Darksaber. The trick is keeping it, along with your head.
The first time this combat succession rule is spelled out so explicitly. But while Ursa gives the Darksaber to the Imperial Governor of Mandalore, Gar Saxon, in an attempt to try to get their family name back in his good graces, he ends up saying, nah, screw that, you guys still suck. And Sabine duels him using Ezra's lightsaber to earn back the Darksaber. Still, she does not yet feel worthy.
I'm not Mandalore's leader, but I'll find the person who is.
So at the beginning of season 4, Sabine Wren meets Bo-Katan Kryze, who also at first feels uneasy about accepting the Darksaber.
Bo-Katan was made regent by the Jedi before the end of the Clone War. She's still seen by many as Mandalore's rightful ruler.
This belongs to you.
I had my chance to rule and I failed. I am not my sister. I am not the leader you seek.
This is several years after the events of Clone Wars Season 7, in which Bo-Katan and Ahsoka Tano take back Mandalore briefly from Maul, but this is right as Order 66 goes out, so the Empire takes it all over anyway. But back here in Rebel Season 4, after they rescue Sabine's father Alric and destroy the anti-Mandalorian weapon that Sabine helped them design, Sabine convinces Bo-Katan to take the blade.
You have the wisdom of a ruler. There's no one I trust to wield the Darksaber more than you, and I am not alone.
Clan Vizsla is with you.
Clan Rook is with you.
Clan Elder is with you.
Clan Kryze is with you.
The Protectors are with you.
Clan Wren is with you.
Now I understand why the saber came to me. It came to me so I could pass it to you.
I accept this sword for my sister. For my clan. And for all of Mandalore.
What a great moment! A moment that takes place a few years before the Battle of Yavin, and the whole turning point of the Galactic Civil War. Hopes were high that Bo-Katan's leadership meant victory for Mandalore too, but nope. And years after that flashback took place, the Mandalorian Season 1 finale showed Moff Gideon with the Darksaber in hand, the same day he'd bragged about the Great Purge of Mandalore and that Night of 1,000 Tears. Though Bo-Katan survived having the Darksaber stolen from her, showing up in Season 2, hoping to retake Mandalore despite the place being a shithole. So she joins Mando's rescue mission for Grogu, and Moff Gideon reveals what her real intentions probably are.
Mesmerizing, isn't it? Used to belong to Bo-Katan. Yes, I know you've been traveling with Bo-Katan. I'm guessing that Bo-Katan and her boarding party have arrived at the bridge, seeking me, or more accurately, this. You see, she wants this. Do you know why? Because it brings power. Whoever wields this sword has the right to lay claim to the Mandalorian throne.
Mando ends up defeating and disarming Gideon himself, and Gideon later laughs when Bo-Katan cannot take the Darksaber herself.
It must be won in battle. In order for her to wield the Darksaber again, she would need to defeat you in combat.
I yield. It's yours.
Oh, no. It doesn't work that way.
The Darksaber doesn't have power. The story does. Without that blade, she's a pretender to the throne.
He's right.
Which brings us to now, when Mando brings the Darksaber to the Armorer, who confirms this.
If, however, it is not won in combat and falls into the hands of the undeserving, it will be a curse unto the nation. Mandalore will be laid to waste, and its people scattered to the four winds.
The Armorer even singles out Bo-Katan as an example of one of these undeserving wielders.
Bo-Katan is a cautionary tale. She once laid claim to rule Mandalore based purely on blood and the sword you now possess. But it was gifted to her and not won by creed. Bo-Katan Kryze was born of a mighty house, but they lost sight of the way. Her rule ended in tragedy. They lost their way, and we lost our world.
So the Armorer deepens the succession rule into radical religious belief. She believes that by accepting the Darksaber from Sabine Wren without winning it in real combat, Bo-Katan triggered a curse that led to the Empire bombing Mandalore and purging most of their Beskar. But if that's really the case, why was Sabine's passing of the Darksaber to Bo-Katan depicted as such a triumphant homecoming? I mean, other than that being part of an animated show years earlier, before they figured out they wanted to do something else, and everything being from a certain point of view. But also, why did Sabine begin connecting with the Darksaber before winning it back properly from Gar Saxon, after she really had just picked it up in a cave? And does this combat succession rule mean that pre-Vizsla, in each and every generation of Vizslas, had to fight savagely with each other, father versus son, both of them equally wanting the weapon in order to pass the Darksaber down? Oh, Dad, I don't want to do this! You're gonna fight your papa! Fight me! Look, there is a lot we do not know about the Armorer and whether she's telling the complete truth, other than she leads this group of super culty Mandalorians called the Watch, and the Watch was an outgrowth of the Death Watch, whose headquarters were on Concordia in Clone Wars, and now the Armorer confirms that they survived the bombing because they were on Concordia. This is the same group just before and after some really dark shit. You'll notice her helmet has distinct horns, similar to those of Maul, and the Death Watch members who didn't defect with Bo-Katan, who stood with Maul during Clone Wars Season 7, wore red and black armor with horned helmets in the style of Maul. The Armorer could have been one of those Maul loyalists who despised Bo-Katan who broke away from them. I assume we'll learn more when these two Mandalorians meet, and I cannot wait for that conversation. But based on Mando struggling with the Darksaber's weight, it is clear that what Kanan Jarrus said about the weight fluctuating based on its connection with the wielder is true. However, Mando's struggling with it despite winning it in proper combat versus Moff Gideon. So that whole succession rule might be less of a form of mysticism inside the weapon than it is really power in the eyes of other Mandalorians, a ritual that the people consider to be sacred. Because again, as Moff Gideon said,
the Darksaber doesn't have power. The story does.
And in that moment, Mandalorians Din Djarin and Casca Reeves and everyone else present would know that Bo-Katan once again received the sword without winning it properly. And now, with this critical second chance she's trying to earn, she doesn't want there to be any doubt in her claim to Mandalore. So ultimately, who will wield the Darksaber? Who should wield it? Din Djarin, the current reigning champion in the line of combat succession? Paz Vizsla, the ancestral heir to it? Bo-Katan Kryze, the disgraced leader seeking redemption? Sabine Wren, who's still alive, still out there, and will appear in live action on the Ahsoka spinoff series, reportedly played by Natasha Liu Bordizzo. I mean, to be honest, really none of these Mandalorians sound like suitable wielders for the weapon to me. They've all had their chance, and to each of them, the Darksaber said, not you. I mean, it makes sense. To all Mandalorians of this generation, the Darksaber represents ruin, division, bad luck, something destined to fall in the wrong hands. This is why Din Djarin's dip in the living waters of Mandalore are gonna be so important, because we may finally get an answer to this Darksaber's true nature. Like, why is its hum more of a song? Why is its blade flat and its edge cracked? Why is its color black? I mean, according to Kanan Jarrus, there is a kyber crystal in that hilt, but what of experience did Tar Vizsla have on Ilum to unearth an ebony-colored crystal? It can't just be that Tar was a goth. I mean, with a name like Tar. Really, I see two futures for the Darksaber. One, it could end up in the hands of Grogu, a bit of George Lucasian poetry for this latest foundling to have a shared custody between the Jedi and the Mandalorians to inherit the artifact of the Mandalorian Jedi, Tar Vizsla. Since neither the Darksaber nor Grogu appear in the sequel films, that could explain their shared absence. But based on the design, the color, the unusual nature of this lightsaber, it feels like a violation of nature. I think a more fitting destiny for the Darksaber is for it and its black hole son stun kyber crystal to be destroyed permanently. Its edge is cracked as if it wants to be destroyed, as if it is trying to tear itself apart. It has made itself a pain in the ass for everyone who has carried it. Really, it's less of an Excalibur than a Ring of Sauron. It has never truly united any Mandalorians we have followed on any of these titles. Really, it has just kept them at war with each other. And I think the recent episode of The Mandalorian hinted at this by pointing out that the Darksaber's hilt is made of Beskar.
The hilt is of a quality of Beskar I have never seen before.
Which the armorer said in reference to the spear.
Mandalorian steel is meant for armor, not weapons.
Therefore, the Darksaber's existence is a violation to their own creed. So ultimately, it was not that Bo-Katan wielded a Darksaber unjustly when she tried to unite the Mandalorians at the end of Rebels. It was that she had to hold a sword at all to do that. So preach, Living Waters of Mandalore. Tell Din Djarin to freaking melt that Darksaber down into another toy for Grogu. It's the only thing in this world that's brought us any good. By the way, you may notice I am wearing a custom Boba Fett design that you can get exclusively at newrockstarsmerch.com. And if you live in the Chicago area, you can come see us live on Friday, February 11th at 8 p.m. at Talia Hall, a special live event that New Rockstars is doing. We almost never do these. You can come meet us in person, tell me to my face how stupid you think my theories are. Please don't do that or be nice about it. Either way, ticket link in the description. Get your hands, tickets are going fast. Follow me at EA Voss, follow New Rockstars, subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching, bye-bye.